Welcome to season 6 of the Breakthrough Show, Breakthroughs Around the World. Conversations with 40 guests from 40 different countries, acknowledging our similarities, honoring our differences, and celebrating our connection. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, the creator of the Breakthrough Show Network, and I'm super excited to be bringing back a past guest today. On this episode of the show, we're going to be welcoming back a friend of ours who's been on the show a couple different times, and I'm really excited that he's back today to represent Slovenia. And he is a fail coach and is going, I know some of you are going, I can do that just fine on, on my own, but he's going to help you even more. And believe it or not, it's a really good thing. So please help me welcome back to the show, Miha Matlievski. Miha, welcome.
Hello. Hi, Jessica. Thanks for
Hi.
inviting me back. It's a pleasure to be here, as always.
We've done this a few times.
Yes, we did.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm glad to have you back because you're always up to something. And in addition, I'm excited to talk to you about your country as well, because that's something that we haven't talked about before. And so I love to talk about a new topic as well. So let's start off by having you tell, first of all, for those of us in the audience who are geographically challenged, where exactly is Slovenia?
Well, that's a good question because it's a really small country, just 2 million people. So a lot of people, even in Europe, don't know where Slovenia is. And we are often mistaken for Slovakia as well. Slovenia is neighboring Italy on west, north Austria, east Hungary, and south Croatia. So it's kind of like in the center of Europe because, if you live in Slovenia, you have really super easy access, like with car or whatever, to a whole lot of neighboring known things. Like, Venice is just like an hour and a half away with the car, or Budapest or Vienna or, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's exciting. I enjoy that about where I live in New England now too. We're in Connecticut, and it's just so everything is so close in the northeastern part of the United States because the states are so small. What is the cultural influence like there? Is it kind of a mishmash of things because you're so close to all those countries?
Yeah. I mean, even though it's a super small country, but whenever you go near one of the borders, you can see the influence because, we are surrounded with bigger countries. And, like if we go back in history, Slovenia was part of Hungarian Austrian Empire. So there's a whole lot of influence from, Hungarian cuisine, Austrian cuisine. The folk music is roughly the same as the Austrians and stuff like that. So very much influence. And then when you go, to the west, you can see a whole lot of influence from Italy, from Italian food. And then we actually have like a super small beach part in Slovenia. I mean, the whole beach is like, I don't know, 20 miles long or something like that. But we are on the Adriatic Sea, just like Croatia and Italy. So there's a lot of, food-wise, seafood and stuff, really good, great, freshly caught. So, yeah, we have a little bit of everything, which is the great part about Slovenia. Whenever I had friends from around the world, they were, it was fun because like you can go skiing in the morning to the mountains because we have like Alps, like Swiss Alps in Slovenia as well. And then in the afternoon, you can sip coffee next to the Adriatic Sea. Like literally, Ljubljana is the capital city. Skiing is like half an hour away. And then seaside is an hour away.
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, you could just have a whole experience in one day. Go to the different places. That's awesome. What is the main language where you are, and do you know how many languages are represented in your country?
Well, the main one is Slovenian. nobody except Slovenian speaks that language. It's not the easiest one because, apart from singular and plural, we also have dual. And then a whole bunch of things change if it's like two ladies or two guys or a mixed group. And so it's really not an easy one to learn. But then, yeah, Italian and Hungarian are also represented near borders.
Mm,
Um, I'm not sure about if Austrian is like the German is like anything official, but of course, many people near the Austrian border speak German. And because Slovenia once was part of Yugoslavia, ex
mm,
Yugoslavia, uh, the old people like myself, we were learning Serbian, Croatian,
mm.
Macedonian in school as well. So still a lot of people speak those Slavic languages as well.
Right, right. What are you encouraged to learn in school as far as languages go?
Um, well, the main one is English,
Hmm.
but usually we have two or three foreign languages. So usually English is mandatory, but then you can choose like German, Italian, French. But then yeah, two or three languages. You have to learn two or three different languages.
Wow, wow.
Well,
I mean,
you can't come far with Slovenian, so
well, and I imagine, with the mixture, like you said, of being right there near all of those countries, you have to know something more than what you would may need to know in other countries just to be able to communicate.
yeah, exactly. I mean, and
It's
that's one thing about smaller countries because if you look at,
Mhm.
the Americans or English, they mostly know just their language, or,
Right.
Spain or Spanish speaking countries, they usually, like, it's sometimes harder to find English speaking people. Same goes for
Mm,
Italians, for Germans, for French. But then smaller countries like Slovenia, basically you have to learn at least two, three different languages to get by. So, from the get-go, you are learning more foreign languages, which it's not a bad thing.
right, right. What is the culture like where you are as far like is it a slower paced country? Is it more fast paced? Have you seen it change over time? What does it look like for you?
Well, most Europe and North America are fairly similar,
Mm,
fairly similar. So I mean, even when you travel, you don't, it's not like a cultural shock. It's not like, oh, I just went to Vietnam and everything's different or
right.
something like that. So it's quite similar. Now, of course, there are some significant differences where, in US you have to pay for healthcare
Mm,
and university and stuff like that, and in Europe those are,
right.
rights that we have. So there are significant differences, and because of that, that capitalism is not so engraved into us. It's not everything just about the money. So life balance, healthy life balance
Mm,
is way more important. That hustle, grind stuff doesn't necessarily work that well in Europe. In general, in Europe. Now, of course, you have certain Europeans who, they want to achieve more and so on, and they go on the hustle,
yeah.
grind, but it's not as common as it is in the US.
Right.
Yeah, it is more well balanced life. But again, in Europe, if you go to north, like Sweden, Finland, they really have that, really well done. Now, the more you go to the south, the more a little bit chaotic things become, but it's still more balanced.
Mm. If someone was to say to you, "Okay, I'm coming to your country and I only have time to do one thing and I really want it to be representative of the country," what would you tell them to do?
Well, I would probably say just go to the capital city because
Mhm.
capital city, since we entered the European Union, there was a lot of investment going into the capital city, and so it has, I guess, the most things to offer in one place. And then maybe a second place would be depending on the time of the year. If you're in winter, then maybe go skiing. If you're in the summer, maybe go to see the seaside as well, because there are some beautiful things to see. But I would say just going to the capital city, like every day a whole bunch of things is happening, and you can really get a good sense of Slovenia and Slovenian people.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds awesome. So we're going to the capital when we go to
Yes.
Slovenia for sure.
Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing. Healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com.
Well, I'm excited to catch up with you a little bit today. I mentioned to everybody when we started out the show that you are a fail coach. And so I was telling you before the show that, I was talking to someone and they say, listen, I don't need help failing. I'm good at that. Tell us what exactly, if for anybody that hasn't seen you on the show before, what is a fail coach and how exactly is that a good thing?
Well, it's what happens after the failure that really matters. Not. I mean, we all fail.
Right.
Sometimes those failures are bigger. Sometimes they're smaller. Sometimes we actually call them learning lessons because they're so small and we are not that emotionally attached. But basically, what happens after it, that's what's important. So, having a good, healthy relationship with failure and seeing it for what it is. And then the thing is, when you have an emotional relationship with failure, that can be a bad thing because it can drag you down, and a whole bunch of negative stuff can happen, depression, suicide attempts, whatnot. Actually, you want to have a very logical relationship with failure, so when it does happen, you don't go into crazy mode, but you take a few steps back and you say, okay, so let's see what the process was that led to this. What could I have done differently? What can I learn? How I can grow? How can I do things differently? Or maybe something completely different because this will not yield the results, and so on. And then, that's the important part. But most of the time, we call failure when we have certain high emotions attached to things. Like when you learn how to ride a bicycle, you just say it, learning to ride a bicycle. Nobody's looking at you as a failure, or you're not looking at yourself as a failure if you don't succeed on the magical first try. But then when emotions get involved, like when you're starting a business and you have high dreams and hopes on what will become of that and how you can be able to provide for the family and stuff like that, or something else, or in relationships with somebody you plan to marry or something like that, and then something happens, and then the bigger the emotions, usually the bigger our reaction to when something doesn't go the way we plan. And then it's very hard to ground yourself, to calm yourself down by yourself. It's something that you can learn with time, but then often it's good to have support along that way, somebody who is looking at things from outside, and guiding you and steering you into that logical sense with questions, and creating that faster way of overcoming the thing that happened, taking the lessons, taking the growth, and then try something different, new, or the same thing in a different way,
Right.
and succeed faster.
Yeah. I when you talk about the emotion, the emotional part of it, I completely um I've had that issue where I get very emotionally attached to the work that I do. And so when that failure happens, it hits me a lot harder than I think other people are. It's easy for them to look in and say, "Well, just brush it off. It's no big deal," and it's a big deal
Yeah.
to me. Like, do you think it's necessary for us to work on that emotional attachment from the get go? Like, is that a real issue, or can we be emotionally attached and then like there's techniques that we can do or something to help with that failure when it happens because
Oh
now
no,
we're
I mean,
upset.
you should be emotionally
Yeah.
attached, of course. I mean, if something doesn't feel good, why would you even do it? I mean, I
Mm,
know that there are people who can be strictly logical and they do stuff just because they do it because it makes sense, money, whatever. But most of us, we are, emotional
mm,
beings. So if there's not an emotional component to something, I mean, I don't know, that's something that drives you, that gives you that purpose and stuff. So yeah, but then again, it's the techniques that you can use, like
mm,
mindfulness, like learning about emotional intelligence and then practicing it. The first pillar of emotional intelligence, self-awareness, getting to know yourself on a very deep level. Pillar number two, managing your own emotions. This one is really important, but you can't go to pillar two before first
mm.
doing the work on the pillar one. And with those different things, you can then have a different, better reaction. So it's not like I don't get emotionally attached to things. Of course I do. Everything that I do, I'm super passionate about, and that's all about emotions. I mean, and but when shit happens, that's where all those techniques kick in, and I can handle things. I don't even need 5 minutes to ventilate anymore. I immediately, when I see emotions boiling, I've learned some breathing techniques. Those Indians, pranayama, something, something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it was, but it was a course, and I went for it, and I learned the techniques. I don't
Yeah.
know the name, but it's really helpful because you give yourself just that enough space to ground yourself, and then you can do another check-in and see, okay, so what else can I do? How high are those emotions? Sometimes you can just walk it off in 15 minutes. Sometimes you need a bit more time and space to process certain things and then get back to it. But yeah, emotional attachment, good thing. Knowing
Okay.
what to do when things don't go the way you planned, that's important.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad. I mean, I feel better now because there's so many people truly throughout the years that are like, Jessica, you're too emotional about things. You're too sensitive. You're too attached to what you're doing. And it just is who I am. Like I feel like I'm learning like some of the techniques that you're talking about, and that's really helpful afterwards.
Yeah.
But I've never been able to like get rid of that attachment. And you're saying I don't have to.
No, you don't have to, but you do need to balance
Mm,
emotions and logic. So, if you want to really be a good entrepreneur or good leader, I mean, anybody would need to learn how to balance those two because, even in everyday life, even if you're not an entrepreneur or leader, it would be beneficial to know that. But as an entrepreneur, as a leader, it's even more important that, of course, you go in with emotions, but then you learn how to create that space that you can also look things from the logical point of view.
mm,
Because emotions are usually attached to the goal, but then you still need steps to reach that goal, and that mostly can come from logic,
right.
because usually it involves some KPIs and proven this, proven that, or testing different
Yeah.
things, putting some numbers to it, measuring stuff, and so on. So it's really important to go into stuff, well balanced. You do the check-in with the emotions, and the emotions say, yay, let's go, let's do it. But then you also do some hardcore business development, which is, very logical.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Well, we talked about emotions. One of the other thing that I wanted to bring up with you is about money, because I
Okay.
think a lot of people get into or don't want to get into the entrepreneurial space because of their being afraid to fail where money is concerned. That whether it's because you mentioned here, like here in the US, we have to pay for healthcare. We have a lot of things that we have to pay for that maybe you don't have to pay for in other countries. But then anybody around the world has to make sure that families are taken care of and bills are paid and we have somewhere to live and all of these things. And so when we get into the entrepreneur space, we're like, I can't, or when we think about it, we say, I can't because I'm so afraid I'm going to fail and then I'm not going to have money and then I'm not going to be able to live. And that money piece, I feel like is a big issue for people as well. A place of fear, if you will, where failure is
Yeah.
concerned.
Well, there's no one answer because it greatly depends on, where in the journey of life you are. When
Mm,
you are, when you don't have a family, you can be more risky.
right,
When you do have a family, you should be smarter. You should first make sure that you have, I don't know, at least six. Well, again, and depending, if you're an extrovert that can, get, that's easy to, connect and find something, maybe all you need is 6 months of, cushion in the savings account, not on the stock market or Bitcoin or
right,
something like that, but like in a savings account,
right.
just that first 6 months. Maybe if you're a bit more awkward in life, then maybe you need 12 months or even more.
Mm,
Yeah, you should be smart about it, but there's no right or wrong answer here. It really depends a lot on yourself. Like, I know that, whatever life will throw at me, give me, I don't know, 90 days and I'll figure out something.
right.
I have, big enough network. I'll figure something out, probably less than 90 days.
Mm,
So I can go out there and be a bit riskier. And then somebody else might need a little bit bigger cushion. So yeah, but it's good thing to think about it. I mean, it would be wrong to say, like, just F it, don't think
right.
about it. That would be a stupid thing. And then again, how risky is the thing that you want to do? Because if you start an online service-based business, you don't have much of an investment, and you can quickly switch markets and stuff like that. If you're doing something local, with a, I don't know, a local shop or something, well, you need to buy some inventory, you need to
Mm,
buy this, that, you need to rent something, you need to sign the lease for a certain amount of time. It's a higher entry point, to go into that business. So, that's why I'm saying one thing is to have good emotions about it. The other thing is to really do some solid business development. And what I've seen and learned through the work that I do now, in our consultancy for the past, what, 7 years now, 8, almost, no, 7, is that, most people don't have any good financial literacy education. I mean, we work with 7 and 8 figure companies mostly, and very often owners, they have no clue how to even check a balance sheet, and they don't
right.
understand, if I do this, then this is the implication in the balance sheet, and this will allow me or not allow me to do this or that. And most people, they don't have a clue how to figure out what's the profitability. Very
Mm,
often they forget to count themselves as an expense. But if you
mm,
work in your business, and then, maybe they give themselves minimum wage, but then they take some money out in different ways, that's still a paycheck. I mean, you
right.
still paid yourself out, that's not profit, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of, um, lack of knowledge when it comes to finances, when it comes to business development. When you ask online, hey guys, before you started your business, did you create a business plan? I remember one guy saying, dude, this is 2000, I don't know what was, 18, 19 or
Yeah.
something like that. All you need is an Instagram account. Well, great. That's not how you create a scalable company. I
Mm,
mean, let's be honest, every now somebody gets lucky. Just like well, I mean, every now and then somebody wins the Powerball lottery, right?
right.
But the odds of doing that are highly not in your favor. So
Yeah.
if you want to put things a little bit more in your favor, then do it a little bit differently.
Well,
And
even with the lottery, that example, you have so many people that win the lottery that have no plan at all, and next thing you know, the money's gone.
yeah,
Doesn't even
yeah,
matter.
that's another issue. That
Yeah.
yeah. And again, if you're a 20-year-old somebody, who doesn't have any worries in this world, like just go for it. I mean, as long as you do some reflection every now and then and figure out, okay, what lessons can I learn from all of this, all good. It's a different thing if you have, family that you have to provide for,
Right.
and you gambled the last money. That's a whole different situation.
Right. Right. And I think when it comes to this situation, I think, there's a lot of people who have a family. Like I have 892 children. No, only six. But I have a house full of kids, right? And a husband. I have things that I have to do. But I think a lot of people don't want to. They want both. They want to be able to have that freedom of the entrepreneurial lifestyle, but also be able to take care of their families. And one of the things I was talking about to a friend the other day, I was like, look, even if you have to do something temporarily to have that extra cushion, that extra money to get your business rolling, it's just temporary, right? Like that's not a failure.
Well, of course not. And I mean, who is to say how fast you have to get there?
Mm,
I mean, yes, if you really want it, you can scale a business from zero to millions in a year. Many have, well, not many, but there are companies that have done it. Of course, it goes a lot of expertise and knowledge from all the past failures, so that you can do it so fast, but it's doable. But yeah, of course, it will take a whole lot of resources to do that, money wise, time wise, and so on. And But if you do it a little bit slower, I mean, if that's okay, why wouldn't you? So you
mm,
you 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 can go at it, you can start doing it, and just be aware that it will take you a little bit longer. And then along the journey, as you gather some extra resources, then wisely put that back into the business, and you can grow it faster and faster and faster until you reach a level of, let's say, 20, 30 employees, where you probably should only be involved as the CEO, like maybe 10 hours a week as the
mm.
CEO. That doesn't mean you can't do other stuff, but 10 hours or less should be more than enough to run a company of 20 to 30 people.
Right, right. Well, I'd love to finish this segment by asking you, why is failure important?
Well, failure is pain, and pain, as far as I know, it has always been and will always be the best motivator for invention and change and stuff like that. So yeah, it's great learning. It brings great lessons, and that's how we actually really grow. We don't grow when everything is tip top. Like you live in that bubble, and you don't really grow. Failure pushes you outside of your comfort zone, and that's where the magic happens.
Mm. I love it. I love it. Well, I'm hoping that everybody that hadn't met you yet on the show before has gotten a good picture of why it's okay to fail, and that look, it's not. We all do it, and we know it's going to happen. But if we can do it in a way that grows us better and faster, and wouldn't that make the world a better place?
Yeah, I mean, I often say, like, people ask me, oh, now that you're the fail coach, do you not fail anymore and stuff like that? And I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? If we don't fail at least every few days with something at least medium big, I'm scared, because that means we're not pushing ourselves. We are not trying, doing new stuff. We got ourselves in the comfort zone. So I'm actually afraid of not failing.
Mm, wow. I think we should all, I mean, what's the big deal? What is the big deal about it?
Huh?
And we should not be afraid. We should not be afraid. And I love that, being putting in a little bit different perspective of afraid of not failing, because then we don't learn.
Yeah, when we don't grow, and that's a terrible place to be in, if you
Mm,
ask me.
yeah, I would agree. I would agree.
Imagine a world where every child gets a great education. Educating all children is the only way to end poverty. This is what the Weiss Scholarship Foundation is working to accomplish. Our 6 staff members, our mentors and coordinators, who are on the ground in Kenya, are totally engaged in every aspect of our students' lives, so we can give them every opportunity for success. In just a few short years, we have already awarded 141 scholarships. We send children to high school who would have never gone without our support. And then we help them go on to either university or vocational school. We have already scaled our holistic business model to 4 locations and are ready to scale it to many more. Today it's Kenya, but tomorrow it's more countries. Please contribute what you can today. You can make a one-time donation, a recurring donation, or choose to sponsor a child all on your own for all 4 years of high school for just $3,500. Go to our website, www.weissscholarshipfoundation.org.
Well, I'm excited today to get into our 10 quick fire questions. We've been asking everybody these questions this season in an effort to get to know each other a little bit better. And I don't think I've ever asked you many of these questions, so I'm excited
Let's
to ask
see.
you them today. Here we go. Number 1, what is your morning beverage of choice?
Hot, well, not boiling hot, but just highly warm glass of water with a squeeze of lemon juice.
Very good. Very good. Love that. So good for you, by the way, people, if you didn't know that. Number 2, when are you most productive?
Productive mornings, creative evenings.
Interesting. Number 3, which season is your favorite?
Mm, Late spring.
It's right.
Not
Okay.
not the warmth of the full blown summer. Not the like when spring is slowly moving into summer. Like well,
Right.
I don't know how to say it in Fahrenheit, but in Celsius, when you're at that lovely 25 to 30 degrees Celsius. I don't know how much is that in Fahrenheit.
I have no idea either. I always have to look it up. I always have to look it up. All right. Number 4, what's something you're learning right now?
Mm, I'm learning a whole lot about how to lose weight.
Ah,
Huh.
very good. That's a good thing. All right. Number 5, what were your best and worst subjects in school?
Oh my God. Well, best I was really good at foreign languages.
Uh-huh.
I was good at anything connected with computers. The worst ones, probably geography, history, like the boring stuff that, I mean, like, okay, back then there was no
Yeah.
Google, but that you can just Google now.
Right.
Why would I
Right.
need to, learn all of that?
Yeah, I was never, I'm interested now as an adult, but when I was a kid, I was like, this is the most boring thing I've ever done in my
Yeah.
life. All right. No, so we know that failure doesn't scare you, but what does scare you?
A fear of regrets. I think
Mm,
that is the best fear you can have, and it scares the living crap out of me.
yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
So I'd rather jump in and do something or whatever. I'm like, you know what? I just don't want to have regrets later on. So I'll just do it.
Yeah, I would agree. Number 7, have you ever been in love?
Yes.
Very good. Hesitating there. Hesitating.
Well, I was like, like, does it count how much I love my furry babies? And I was like,
I was
yeah,
going to ask how your dogs were doing.
yeah, that should count. So yeah.
I would agree. All right. Number 8, what inspires you?
What inspires me? Um, Servant leaders.
Hmm, that's an interesting answer. I'm going to sit on that one for a while. Number 9, if you have any, how do you enjoy your downtime?
Oh, plenty of that, mostly with dogs. So we cuddle, we play, we go for walkies. Another thing is I love traveling, which was a little bit, uh, not happening during the uh,
Right.
last 2 years,
Stuff.
but yeah, during the stuff that was happening. But yeah, I love traveling. I love cooking as well and dancing. So those are some of the things that I really love doing.
I didn't
Just
know you liked to dance. I'm
healthier
learning new
cooking.
things here. Yes, healthier cooking is good. All right, last question. Which culture do you deeply respect and or want to learn more about other than your own?
Asian.
Mm. Any particular reason or thing that appeals to you?
I don't know what is it, but
Mm.
like I'm just drawn to Asia. Don't ask me why. Especially like Vietnam and the
Mm.
Philippines and Korea. So that middle part. So not Japan and not earlier. So that kind of part there.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, I've been
Mm.
traveling all around the world in the past, so I've been on all 5 continents many times. But yeah, just Asia is somehow calling me, and I really don't know why.
Mm. I love it. I love it. I won't ask you why then. That's fine. You survived all 10 questions. Great job. Love it. I'm gonna go back over those. Those were some good answers. Good answers that we hadn't heard before. We want everybody to make sure they go visit you at fail.coach. That's your website down on the bottom there.
Yes.
But tell everybody specifically how you help people or anything that you have going on right now that you'd like to share.
Well, I mean, like I said, most of our clients are companies that are already 7 or 8 figure range of yearly revenue. And we are just like a full service consultancy, and we help them with laying down foundations, with leadership, with scaling and stuff like that. But mostly, uh, they have to be at a certain level already. But then on top of that, I always love to work on many different more like passion projects that might not be financially successful, but I just love doing those.
Hmm. I love it. I love it. Well, we want everybody to make sure, again, go visit fail.coach. We will also have Miha's email address down in the comments for you as well. Thank you very much for coming back with me today, my friend. It's always good to see you.
Well, thank you, Jessica. It was a pleasure, like always.
I love it. I
and
love it.
and to many more chats like this.
Yes, anytime, anytime. It'll be great. But I was excited today to talk a little bit about your country and stuff as well, because again, we hadn't done that before. So anything we could pretty soon I'm gonna know everything about you, and then we're gonna be like, what do we talk about now?
I don't think we'll have a problem with that. I mean, we are both so chatty.
We are chatty. There is that. There will always be something. Miha, thank you so much again for being here today. I appreciate you.
And thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. All right, you guys, it has been another fabulous episode of The Breakthrough Show today. I want to remind you, make sure you visit us at thebreakthroughshow.com. You can also join our Discord community at bit.ly/Discord Breakthrough. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and I want to remind you to make every day a great day for a breakthrough. And we'll see you next time.